What is going on, peacemakers, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to probably be a little shorter, but nonetheless, it is how God speaks through us, or how God intervenes in our lives. So first of all, I want to be very clear. God has given us free will. What that means is that sometimes, honestly, God doesn't know the outcome of the choices that we personally make. But God's there through it. God's there with us. And God, depending on the choice that we make, God could absolutely see the outcome of that decision, but he doesn't know what decision we're going to make until we make it, right? Or until we do it. Better for worse and whatnot. God is always there through it. God is always there with us. He is a very loving and merciful God. So with that being said, this comes from the story in Numbers about Balaam and his donkey. So, Balaam and a group of his men were going to go to war. And then all of a sudden he hears God, he hears from God, says, I don't want you to go. And he's like, all right, guys, God doesn't really want me to be involved in this. I can't go. And he leaves it as that. They all respect it. They all, they start heading out to war. Something changes. Balaam changes his mind, and he's like, I'm going to war. Even though he just received God telling him, don't go to war, God still, he still told, or God still told Balaam, hey, I don't want you to go. Regardless of that, Balaam went. So he got on his donkey and he started, he was going to go meet them and whatnot. Well, not too long after, the donkey began to act strange. He started to disobey. He started to, the donkey just started to act strange. And finally, Balaam had enough of it and slayed the donkey and was like, enough's enough. Then the Spirit of the Lord came unto the donkey, started talking through the donkey, and said, why hast thou done this to me and whatnot? And then Balaam's response was, you have made me, you have mocked me, basically saying like you stonewalled me. You're preventing me from doing what I asked of thee. So then the Spirit of the Lord manifests, and all of a sudden it all makes sense. Balaam starts to understand why the donkey was, acting the way he did, because the Spirit of the Lord was guiding the donkey away, basically trying to casually tell Balaam to turn back. But Balaam wouldn't listen. Balaam was a little hard-headed, so he killed the donkey and started going on foot, and then the Spirit of the Lord, intervened and said, God told you not to go. Why are you going? And then Balaam said, forgive me. I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't. And then the Spirit of the Lord says, you can go, but obey your God. Basically a beautiful message of saying, look, you messed up. You disobeyed. But okay, if you want to go, go ahead. So he grants him blessing and permission to go. I had a very, not as intense as that. I had a similar experience actually right after I read this from the book of Numbers. And I thought, man, this makes so much sense. Because, guys, have you ever had this feeling of rush, or this feeling of, you're trying so hard, you're trying so hard to do this, usually it's something that we probably shouldn't be doing, because it ends up, to sin, or it ends up doing something that we're going to regret, or something that we just don't want to do in general, but we do it anyways. Rather it's go on a date with a significant other, hang out with a bunch of buddies, regardless of what this task is, whatever it is, there's a part of us that says, I probably shouldn't go to this. I probably shouldn't do this. But then we do it anyways, and then we come into a lot of problems where it starts stonewalling us. Like we run into traffic, we run into there's just things, obstacles in the way. And for some reason, it's like any other day, it's like you try to plan something, it's fluent, it works, everything comes together, and it works like a well-oiled machine until these moments in our lives. Well, let me tell you something. It could very well be the Spirit of the Lord telling us that that God does not want us involved in this situation, or does not want us to do this make this decision. So with that being said, I had this similar experience, not in a crazy way that Balaam did, but I had this crazy experience. It's either Balaam or Balak, I can't remember, but for now I'm going to say Balaam. It's probably Balak now that I'm thinking about it, but regardless, I had a very similar experience in my life where this happened. So my good buddy of mine asked me to go do this task for him. We were in 2 different states at the time, and I was just chilling at home and about to get on the PlayStation, downloading this new game, or new-ish game. Anyways, details doesn't matter. So I went to start up the PlayStation. I was the PlayStation was started up. I was downloading the game and whatnot. I was on the phone with my buddy, and then all of a sudden I started having issues. I thought, this is so weird, because it's never acted this way before. I mean, yeah, sure, it's an old PlayStation. It's PlayStation 4 still, but it's just weird. Never had this issue before. So as I'm trying to get this thing to work, I'm restarting the PlayStation. All of a sudden, my controller starts bugging out on me. It starts, white and purple or pink light turns on, and it's nothing's working. It's not connecting to the PlayStation. I'm like, dude, this is so weird. And he was like, what? And I was like, my PlayStation's not working. And so I grabbed the other controller and I tried to connect to it, and it's doing the exact same thing. So I was like, wow, this is really weird. I don't feel like I should be playing on the PlayStation right now. I feel like God's telling me to go do that task you asked me to do. And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. So shortly after I hung up the call, I left the PlayStation. It was glitching out. It was off. Whatever. So I go do the task for about a couple hours. Just doing what I was supposed to be doing instead of putting it off. And I come back, and all of a sudden, the PlayStation's on, and the game has resumed exactly where it was. The download was when it started having issues, and the controller started working just fine, as if everything was normal. And I get it. I get a lot of people will say that's just a coincidence. There's my PlayStation does this to me all the time. There's a million different explanations. It's not God. But if you take God out of that equation, you miss the whole point of the message. And there is a message that God was trying to convey to me. Sure, it could have been just a PlayStation malfunction, but I still obeyed God in that time. Balak or Balaam still obeyed God. Well, disobeyed God, but heard God and listened to God. And I did the task that was, in question. Instead of putting it off, playing on the PlayStation, when honestly, I probably would have forgot. Let's be honest. If I was playing the PlayStation after the PlayStation, I would have either been, getting ready for the next day. I would have been, so there's just so many other examples, so many other things, reasons and whatnot, to which I would not have gotten to that task that day. But God deemed it very necessary to do that task. So I did the task. I did what what was asked of me, and as if nothing happened, everything worked. Started working again. Guys, God uses these little minute things for our good, for a reason. We may not know the reason. I do know the reason, but I also don't know why it was so important at that moment. But I'm glad I don't have to find out the hard way. And let me also tell you something. It's not the donkey's fault, right? If, the fact that Balak slayed the donkey was only, in a way, actually, it kind of made it worse for him, because now he has to walk and carry his gear, right? He has to now, because he has decided to slay his own ride. He messed up, and in the in doing so, now he has to pay and suffer for it, because he decided to disobey God. He decided to slay the donkey. Now he has to pay for it. If I were to have just destroyed the PlayStation, I still would have had nothing else to do but go do the task that I was supposed to do, and then come back to a broken PlayStation and be like, well, now I can't even play games anymore because I decided to slay the donkey. I decided to slay the problem that was preventing me from doing what I wanted to do instead of what I should have been doing. So anyways, I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty cool, guys. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you. I think, if you guys can recall a time in your lives where the exact same annoying problem that I'm talking to you about, man, I'm telling you, I've done a lot of things that God didn't want me to do, or I've been in a lot of situations where I wasn't hearing what God wanted me to do. Like, what I mean by that is, like tasks. I wasn't understanding certain tasks that God was wanting me to do. Or again, the simple task could have been, he just didn't want you to go to war. He just didn't want you to go where, like Balak or Balaam's friends, or men or whatnot. He just may not want you to go over there. Could be there's something greater afoot. Could be, if you go do this thing, nothing good will come from it. Something bad could happen financially. Something bad could happen to your vehicle. Something bad could happen to, you guys could get into a wreck. There's so many different avenues and different things that could happen and occur if you didn't listen to God or to the Spirit intervening and saying, hey, you know what? I don't think we should do this right now. Or maybe you should stop playing video games for a little bit, go do your task, and come back. God works in mysterious ways. Who am I to say that was, that wasn't him, right? Me personally, I clearly see that as God intervening, because PlayStation went back to normal as if nothing had happened. It was just such a bizarre event. Just crazy to me. So anyways, that's just me. But at the same time, guys, look for those little signs. Look for those little examples in your own life, because it may be that God is telling you to do something that you're putting off, or telling you not to go do something that you probably shouldn't be doing in the first place. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next one.